get reaction then to the news we broke a moment ago. 2 women affected by controversial changes to the state pension age here in the UK have lost their Court of Appeal challenge against the government. It comes after the age was raised from 60 to 66 by successive British governments under plans to achieve pension age equalisation. Let's talk to Yvette Greenway-Mansfield, who's the co-chair, or the chief executive, I beg your pardon, of the charity SOS, Silence of Suicide. Her partner is the QC who's represented the women involved in this case. Also with us, Joanne Welch, who's the founder and director of Backto60.com. Joanne, we are broadcasting to an audience around the world right now, so it would be helpful if you could sum up what this campaign has been about. Hi Joanne, can you hear me? Let me try you.
Yeah.
Oh, you can hear me, can you?
Yes, I can hear you.
Excellent, thank you for talking to us. You will have heard the news that you've lost this case. What's your initial reaction?
Boris Johnson said at the time of the last election that he would look at this issue with fresh eyes and new vigour and sort it out, which is an acknowledgement of the injustice. And that was reported in the press. That isn't just anecdotal. And Keir Starmer said that this is an injustice against 50s women and that he's supported Backto60. Also, the House of Commons, House of Lords, Select Committees, they've all said 50s women are grotesquely disadvantaged. And Professor Alston, the special rapporteur, said that the misogynistic culture in Parliament was one of the reasons that we're being treated in this way.
But you've lost this argument, which is that it was discriminatory towards women. How do you react to that?
It is 100% discrimination. There is no doubt about it. And we're actively considering an appeal. And we've also...
This was the appeal. This was the appeal.
To the Supreme Court.
Right, okay.
And we have submitted grave and systemic evidence to the CEDAW committee in Geneva, and they're looking at making an inquiry into the UK government in the way that they've treated women. And they've only done 4 inquiries in 20 years, so it's a great achievement to get to the last stage, the 77th session of the CEDAW committee in October. We've also launched the CEDAW People's Tribunal, which is going to be looking at discrimination against all women and girls. And what we're going to do there is write up legislation, draft legislation to bring a Women's Bill of Rights into UK domestic law.
Okay, that would be
so
interesting.
It isn't.
Yeah, it's not over, definitely. I can hear you saying that. I can hear your determination. Yvette Greenway-Mansfield, I wonder if you could sum up this campaign for our audience around the world.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it shouldn't be any surprise to anyone, really, that women are continuing to fight. Through history, women have had to fight. And this is no different, really, different subject, but, you know, the principle remains the same, to ensure that women get the equality that they deserve. And we've always been in favour of gender equality, but the point is the way to ensure equality amongst genders has to be realised in a fair and equal manner, and this clearly was not the case. The mental health impacts upon this particular group of women have been tremendous. We ran a survey, we've run a couple of surveys for Backto60 to determine the full impact on women's emotional well-being. We've had over 20,000 responses, and people are having thoughts of suicide, they are self-harming, and if it hasn't affected them themselves, they are aware of people that have thoughts of suicide or have attempted to end their lives, who are self-harming themselves. And this is the unseen impact. This is not discussed anywhere near enough. And I am hugely concerned for women, given what's just been announced this morning.
Okay.
However, although their mental well-being may well be impacted, their resilience, their strength and their courage absolutely is not. And I know that we are putting them forward.
Joanne, Go ahead, Joanne. Sorry.
The DWP, having remembered what I've said to you about what Boris and Keir Starmer have said, leading politicians in this country, the DWP then saw it fit to use taxpayers' money to take 50 women to court and defend the indefensible. How can you have the Prime Minister and the Leader of the Opposition say it's an injustice and it needs to be sorted out, and then the DWP defends its position in court and made us raise crowdfunders from women who could barely afford it, by the way, but they were so angry that we were able to raise the money. I mean, it just is the juxtaposition between what Number 10 and the Leader of the Opposition is saying and the DWP and what the court is saying. It's incongruous.
Can I put to you a point where you will have heard many times that there was enough warning to 50s women?
No.
Sorry, just before you answer, just let me put the facts for people who are trying to learn more about the history of this, the background. There was the 1995 Pensions Act, which legislated to increase the female state pension age from 60 to 65, and that was supposed to be phased in between 2010 and 2020. The coalition government of 2010 then decided to accelerate that timetable, so they brought in the 2011 Pension Act, which brought the new qualifying age of 65 forward to 2018. So there was 7 years' notice. How do you answer that, Joanne?
No disrespect to you, Victoria, but the fact that we were not advised, and we have evidence that our legal team uncovered that Peter Lilly hid secret Whitehall memos saying that certain MPs wanted to write to 50s women, and he blocked it.
Okay.
So
I'm sure if Peter Lilly were here, he would push back on that.
Well, I wish he would be there, because I'd like to have a conversation with him about it. I mean, they did not tell 50s women. Does anyone honestly think that women would have waited until now to rise up and say, where are my earned dues? No, they wouldn't have. Had they known, they would have risen up, at the dates that you've mentioned. Countless stories that I can tell you, testimonials that will come out, from CEDAW in Geneva. We've given them the credit.
Okay. Well, thank you both very much. Plans to take the decision today from the Court of Appeal, which ruled that the women today lost on the argument of discrimination, but plans to take that to the Supreme Court. Thank you to Joanne Welch, founder and director at Backto60.com, and Yvette Greenway-Mansfield, co-chief executive of SOS. One more thing to bring you, and more reaction, of course, to